For the United States, a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to, look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House, and they're so honored. How long has the war been going? And a friend of mine who was very much involved said 30 years, and at least 6 million people were killed during that period of time. It's incredible. And somebody said that was actually, it's the biggest war on the planet since World War II. So it's a shame, but we're going to bring it to an end. I want to express my gratitude and congratulations to the representatives of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda, who signed this pivotal agreement a short time ago. They just signed right in front.
With also a new approach of economic integration, regional economic integration, which is important to allow Rwanda and DRC working together, because this is a very rich region with cross-border trade, with minerals, with natural wealth. So with the US standing side by side with Rwanda and DRC, we believe that we will achieve a long-time peace.
Stay committed, stay on board. We need the United States to make sure that this agreement holds and that you hold us accountable.
What if I told you that a single handshake in Washington could rewrite Africa's future again? What if I told you that behind that handshake is not just peace, but power, profit, and a familiar pattern of outsiders claiming to save Africa by taking from it? This week, the world watched as former US President Donald Trump announced a peace deal between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, one of the deadliest conflicts on Earth. He stood between the foreign ministers of both countries, smiling, shaking hands, cameras flashing. The message? Peace has come. War is ending. A new day is dawning. But then came the part they hoped we wouldn't focus on. Trump proudly declared that, as part of this peace deal, the United States had secured a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo. His words. Not speculation. Not rumor. A direct quote. Right there, out loud, in front of the world. And just like that, what looked like diplomacy began to look a lot more like a transaction. A business deal. An exchange, peace, in return for access. Access to what? To the minerals that lie under Congo's blood-soaked soil. Cobalt. Lithium. Coltan. Gold. Copper. Resources that power our smartphones, our laptops, our electric cars, our AI engines. These are not just minerals. These are strategic assets. They are the raw ingredients of the 21st century economy. And Congo holds trillions of dollars worth, perhaps over $20 trillion. That's why Trump is suddenly interested. That's why US companies are pledging to invest. That's why China, Russia, the EU, and the Gulf states are all hovering over Congo like vultures around a wounded animal. And yet, despite the value buried beneath their feet, the Congolese people remain some of the poorest in the world. Let's pause here for a moment. This is not just a Congolese story. This is the African story. Time and time again, our land has been the stage for global games of power. And we, the people, have been reduced to spectators. Or worse, collateral damage. This deal was signed in Washington, D.C., not Kinshasa. Not Kigali. Not Addis Ababa. Not at the African Union. There were no African civil society leaders in the room. No victims of the M23 conflict. No Congolese miners. No displaced mothers. No Rwandan youth whose future will be shaped by these decisions. And yet, we're being told this deal is for us. That this peace is ours. That this investment will lift us all. Haven't we heard this before? Let's go back in time. In 1884, European powers gathered in Berlin to carve up Africa like slices of cake. Not a single African was in the room. Entire nations were created, divided, and sold off, with no consent, no participation, no representation. And now, over a century later, here we are again, foreign powers making deals about our land, our minerals, our people, without us. Only this time, it's happening in suits, not uniforms. In conference rooms, not battlefields. But the effect is the same: external control over African wealth. The US calls this diplomacy. But what is diplomacy when it's backed by corporations, sealed by contracts, and defined by extraction? This is not a peace plan. This is a business model. A model that says, if you give us access to your resources, we'll give you security. If you quiet the rebels, we'll open the checkbooks. If you let us mine your land, we'll build your roads. But peace that is bought can be sold. And investments made without transparency can easily turn into exploitation. Let's talk about the fine print, because that's where truth hides. What's missing from this deal is just as important as what's included. There is no mention of local ownership. No guarantee of fair wages. No framework for community reinvestment. No environmental protection clauses. No oversight by civil society. No independent audits. Just vague promises of development and billions in foreign direct investment. We know what happens next. Jobs that barely pay. Land grabbed from communities. Rivers poisoned by tailings. Governments propped up while people are pushed aside. Corruption exploding. Hope fading. And then, when the minerals run out or the politics get messy, the investors pull out. The cameras stop rolling. The promises vanish. And the people are left with the scars. That's not development. That's déjà vu. Now, some will say, at least there's peace. At least the fighting is stopping. At least there's infrastructure coming. Yes, peace is a gift. But it must be real peace. Not silence masquerading as stability. Not a temporary pause in violence in exchange for permanent resource control. True peace requires justice. And justice means putting people before pipelines. It means centering the voices of those who have suffered most. It means making sure that the wealth beneath our soil builds schools, not stock portfolios. Hospitals, not headquarters. Futures, not foreign fortunes. We also have to look at the bigger picture. Because this deal isn't happening in a vacuum. This is part of a much larger power struggle. The United States is in a race with China for control of the minerals that power the future. China already dominates DRC's mining sector. Chinese companies have spent years building infrastructure, signing contracts, embedding influence. Russia, too, is entering the fray, militarily, politically, economically. What we are witnessing is a new scramble for Africa. Not for land, this time, but for what lies underneath it. And if we're not careful, Africa will become the battleground of the world's next great rivalry. We will be caught in the crossfire between Washington and Beijing, Moscow and Brussels. And once again, it will be our people who suffer while others profit. We cannot let that happen. We cannot afford to be grateful for exploitation just because it comes with a smile. We cannot cheer for agreements that don't include us. We cannot confuse foreign interest with local empowerment. It's time to change the script. Africa holds the keys to the world's future. But those keys mean nothing if we're not the ones driving the car. We must demand seats at the table. Not as guests, but as equals. As partners. As owners. So what can be done? First, our leaders must wake up. Not just to the value of what we have, but to the cost of giving it away. They must negotiate transparently. Consult their people. Stand up when deals are one-sided. Say no when sovereignty is on the line. Second, our civil society must organize. Speak up. Expose corruption. Track investments. Demand accountability. Shine a light where others hope for shadows. Third, the African Union must step up. It can no longer be a passive observer. It must become a powerful broker, capable of coordinating African responses, facilitating regional diplomacy, and creating a unified front in global negotiations. Fourth, our diaspora must engage. You have power, influence, wealth, knowledge, networks. Use them. Invest back. Speak out. Hold the line. And fifth, you, the listener. You are not powerless. You are part of this story. Share this message. Start the conversations. Vote wisely. Join movements. Demand better. Because if we don't act, others will act for us. If we don't shape our destiny, others will shape it to fit their interests. Africa doesn't need more peace deals signed in foreign capitals. It needs a new mindset. One that says, we are no longer the world's resource pit. We are the future. We are the rising power. And we will no longer be bored. Before I close, I want to speak directly to you, yes, you. If this message resonated with you, if you care about Africa's future, if you believe in truth over spin, justice over optics, then I ask you, take one small action right now. Subscribe to this channel. It costs nothing, but it tells the algorithm and the world that African voices matter. Like this video, because engagement helps more people find it. And most importantly, share this episode. In your WhatsApp groups. In your classrooms. In your meetings. Let it spark debate, reflection, and action. Here on Worldlens, we're not just following headlines. We're questioning narratives. We're amplifying African perspectives. We're holding power to account. Because this is not just content, it's a calling. Africa is not a prize to be won. It is a continent full of promise. A place of pride, power, and potential. And the time to rise is now. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And thank you for believing that we deserve better. Until next time. Stay bold, stay informed, and stay awake.